Signal 2-3. Socialist Party organizers arrested in Colorado for riot activity. 6 far-left protest leaders were arrested for inciting riots during Elijah McClain demonstrations held in Aurora, Colorado earlier this summer. 2 leaders, Lillian House and Joel Northam, are organizers for the Party for Socialism and Liberation, or PSL, which have led several demonstrations in Aurora and Denver. House and Northam face first-degree kidnapping charges where they unlawfully and feloniously attempted to imprison or forcibly secrete 18 officers with the intent to force them or another person to make a concession to secure their release during a July protest. Observer's note: the PSL states their goal is to establish a new revolutionary socialist government that would abolish capitalism and police. While this effort in Aurora was not sanctioned by the PSL and was unsuccessful, asymmetric tactics such as kidnapping are an indicator of a more substantial insurgent threat. Also, the presence of leftist political staffers such as Christina Narayan, arrested at a Portland riot last week, reinforces the revolutionary intent of these groups to replace the current American system. The PSL's Liberation School states capitalism cannot be voted out of power. It will take a revolution. Minneapolis property owners back out of precinct lease due to threats of violence. Building owners, Lautenbach Properties and Imagine Express, backed out of a lease to the city of Minneapolis to temporarily house the city's 3rd precinct. One of the major reasons the deal collapsed was a series of violent threats directed at the ownership group and their family. The building was recently vandalized with anti-police graffiti, with one that read, "We could burn this one too." Far-left revolutionary group the Minnesota Wild rejoiced on Twitter and said, "Never forget that it's the insurrectionary force of the rebellion which has forced the city's still meager concessions, not activist campaigns." The Observer's note: one indication of a developing insurgency is the ability to deny local governments from providing basic security measures to the populace. This effort delegitimizes the government as an authority figure and discourages further cooperation between local businesses and the government. A second-order effect is that diminished government contracts with business could hamper the local economic recovery, leading to greater animosity that insurgents can exploit for recruitment and building popular support. White House siege appears to be canceled. Adbusters announced that the 50-day White House siege protest to be held until Election Day to ensure a peaceful transition of power has been canceled. The organizers cited threats of death and violence from Trump supporters and white nationalists. Yeah, of course. On Twitter, Adbusters added, "This is not a free country." Observer's note: the event was hailed as the successor to the Occupy Wall Street protest in 2011. Whether or not the claims of death threats are real or manufactured, the main event for the time being is canceled. The group generated a lot of attention on social media, however, so there are likely to be offshoot events with far leftists seeking to take action. Proud Boys relocate upcoming Portland rally away from downtown. Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio moved the 26 September rally from outside the Justice Center downtown to the larger Delta Park. Tarrio cited the change was made to accommodate a battalion of patriots that will be in attendance. We only expect our numbers to continue to grow over the next week as we prepare to visit Portland to showcase our love for America. Anyone who decides to attack our attendees will be met with legal and lawful forms of self-defense. Observers note. Anti-fascist groups on social media have also been calling for mass attendance in opposition to the Proud Boys. The larger the turnout, the more likely there will be a loss of control as smaller clashes erupt between the groups. The recent shootings and brandishing of firearms at Portland events, as well as the stockpiling of ballistic armor over the past 2 weeks, indicate an increased likelihood of violence resulting in possible death or serious bodily harm. Signal 2-3.